There is an invisible hush right now, an unspoken invitation for you to breathe, to slow. Feel the stillness beneath your skin, like the first light of dawn, delicate but certain. If you've ever wondered whether you belong, whether you've passed unseen tests of faith, this moment is your gentle answer. Hush, can you hear it? The calm voice of your own soul brushing past all the clutter of doubt. Right here in this quiet you've already passed. Loved ones may not see your silent surrender. Tides may not note how you steadied your heart when storms threatened your peace. Yet God saw. And now, in this sacred pause, it's time to draw aside the curtain and let the truth, tender and bright, come home to you. Imagine a soft beam of morning sun slicing through the window and landing on your hands. It asks nothing. It simply rests there, warm, enduring. That's how God sees you. Not for what you ache to become, not for the struggles you face in secret, but as you are, whole, already chosen, already past. There were moments when a prayer formed on your lips while your heart was trembling. There were times when you offered kindness, pressing into fear with nothing but the silent hope that someone needed it more. You kept walking when your faith felt faint, but you kept walking. That quiet courage, a kindness in the night, a refusal to abandon truth, a surrendered breath when all seemed lost, has been gathered by the divine. You were being prepared, not for outward applause, but for the subtle unveiling of grace that happens deep within the soul. And now it's time to remember, to whisper into your own being, you belong. You are cherished. You've already passed by the unseen grace that cradles your story. Lean in with me. Breathe in the soft knowing that your name is written across eternity's gentle sky. Let every breath press peace into your bones. Here in this stillness, float into remembrance of who you really are, God's chosen one. And the truth, oh the truth, is waiting to settle softly into the core of your being. Point 1. You've passed through tests you didn't see. No fanfare marked the nights when faith crept through your fear. You didn't know you were being shaped, yet those quiet choices, holding on, breathing through the weight of despair, whispering prayers into the silence, were divine milestones that marked your unseen transformation. Many imagine spiritual growth as thunderbolts of revelation or dramatic visions, but often it happens in the ordinary, hidden folds of life. The chosen one's path is rarely loud. It is subtle, almost imperceptible, and that is its mystery. Think of gold. Before it gleams, it must be buried deep in the earth, pressured, extracted, and refined by fire. You too, chosen one, were hidden, pressed down, and refined in silence. Science even affirms this pattern. Diamonds, one of the hardest substances on earth, form under extreme pressure and heat over billions of years. Your trials mirrored this process, slowly crystallizing your resilience, making you unbreakable. The nights you thought were wasted in worry were in fact chiseling nights, carving out a new you. You weren't merely surviving, you were being transformed. Psychologists call this process post-traumatic growth. Studies show that people who endure deep struggles often emerge with heightened strength, empathy, and wisdom. They learn to appreciate life in ways they never did before. This isn't just theory, it's lived reality. You, chosen one, carried pain that others couldn't imagine. Yet instead of hardening completely, you softened where it mattered. Your heart remained open to whispers of light, even when everything around you felt like shadows. That paradox is the fingerprint of divine refinement. The prayers you prayed in half-broken words, they weren't lost. Neuroscience has shown that prayer and meditation physically reshape the brain, strengthening neural pathways of peace, focus, and resilience. Each whispered, "Help me," or "Guide me," was not a sign of weakness, but a rewiring of your soul and mind. You were building spiritual muscles in ways you couldn't see. And here's the most astonishing part. No one applauded those moments, no one recorded them, yet they hold more weight than public victories. It's in the secret places that true power is born. History is filled with examples of hidden preparation. David, before facing Goliath, spent years alone tending sheep and slinging stones at lions and bears. Nelson Mandela, before becoming a global icon of justice, endured 27 years in prison where his faith in freedom grew stronger, not weaker. Even seeds themselves carry the same story. They must rot underground before breaking open into life. Chosen one, your quiet hidden endurance places you in this same lineage of transformation. But let's be honest, patience in the dark isn't glamorous. Waiting is excruciating because silence feels like abandonment. Yet silence was not God's absence, it was his workshop. You were being taught discipline, humility, and trust, the very qualities that will sustain you when your season of revelation arrives. Too many people want the spotlight without the shaping, the crown without the cross. But you unknowingly accepted the refining fire, and that is why your future carries weight. Now consider how unique this shaping is. While others rushed to escape discomfort, you sat in it. While some numbed their pain, you wrestled with it. While many turned bitter, you kept praying, even if only in whispers. This is why the chosen ones stand apart, not because they are louder, stronger, or more privileged, but because they dared to endure silently, faithfully. So as you reflect on those nights when fear was thick but faith was thicker, remember that no moment was wasted. You were becoming, and the beauty of becoming is this. One day, without warning, the quiet work of years will burst forth like a seed breaking soil, like dawn after a long night. Chosen one, you will realize you were not just surviving the dark, you were carrying light through it. And now, the world is about to see what silence has been shaping all along. Point 2. Your trembling was witnessed by the light. The trembling inside your chest, that ache, the tear, the uncertainty, did not go unseen. It was witnessed and embraced by a gentle presence that gathered your quiet courage like soft dew. And perhaps, chosen one, that is what you often forget. Your struggles are not wasted echoes in the void, but sacred signals that heaven has recorded in full. Every moment you felt unseen, every tear you buried in the silence of the night, became part of your initiation. It was training, not punishment. It was alignment, not abandonment. The presence that hovered over you was not judging your weakness, but gathering your strength, weaving it into something eternal. Spiritual traditions across the ages have spoken of this. In ancient Hebrew texts, it is written that God stores our tears in his bottle. In Buddhism, suffering is seen as the gateway to compassion and deeper awakening. Even modern psychology echoes this, teaching that resilience is not built in times of ease, but in the furnace of hardship. Isn't it striking, chosen one, how science and spirit often meet on the same mountain, just from different paths? What you thought was only trembling inside your chest was in fact the vibration of transformation, the cracking open of a vessel that could no longer contain who you were destined to become. Think about dew for a moment. It forms quietly at dawn, unnoticed by the rushing world. Yet it carries life to everything it touches. Your courage has been the same, soft, unnoticed by many, but powerful enough to refresh souls around you. This is why, despite your hidden battles, people often sense something unexplainable in you. They see the glow of one who has endured storms without losing their song. They feel the aura of one who has walked through shadow but emerged carrying light. And make no mistake, that light did not come cheap. It was purchased with nights of doubt, days of endurance, and 1,000 small acts of faith when giving up would have been easier. Chosen ones often carry what feels like a contradiction, deep sensitivity wrapped in armor. You ache intensely, yet you stand unshaken. You long for connection, yet you can survive isolation. This paradox is not confusion, it is design. Great spiritual teachers, prophets, mystics, and leaders throughout history bore this same duality. They were misunderstood in their time, often rejected, but it was precisely this tension that made them pillars of truth. Their trembling hearts gave them empathy, and their unyielding spirits gave them endurance. The same balance is being forged in you, whether you realize it or not. Science tells us the human heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in the body, extending several feet beyond us. This means your inner trembling, your ache, your longing, was not just felt by you, it rippled into the space around you, like a tuning fork resonating unseen music. That is why others are drawn to you. Even without knowing why, your very presence speaks. And this presence that witnesses you, the divine, collects those vibrations and turns them into purpose. Nothing is wasted. So when you recall those moments of trembling, when your chest ached with uncertainty, when tears blurred your vision, remember this truth. You were not alone. You were being witnessed, held, and strengthened. Your quiet courage was not weakness, but proof of divine alignment. Like dew, it settled gently, invisibly, until the sun could rise and reveal its shine. Chosen one, do not despise your trembling. It was your transformation. Do not fear the ache. It was your awakening. And above all, do not forget what you endured has marked you not as broken, but as chosen. Point 3. Invisible work in the depths. There's art being wrought in your heart. Unseen, unhurried. Strength balanced with tenderness, faith shaded by grace. This interior work, often dismissed by the world, is the sacred alchemy of souls chosen by the divine. Chosen ones are not formed in noise and spectacle, but in silence, patience, and endurance. Their transformation does not happen overnight. Just as the finest pearls are cultivated in the hidden depths of the ocean, so too is the chosen soul refined in places the world rarely looks. The process can feel isolating, even invisible, but it carries the fingerprints of eternity. What others may call stillness is in fact sacred preparation, and what the world calls delay is often divine timing. Think of the blacksmith working iron. Fire, hammer, and water all playing their part in shaping something strong, purposeful, and lasting. The chosen one's heart undergoes a similar rhythm. Trials become the fire, discipline becomes the hammer, and grace is the water that cools the soul before it shatters. It may feel brutal in moments, but the outcome is beauty that cannot be forged any other way. This is not random suffering, it is refinement, carefully measured and divinely orchestrated. Ancient texts from every corner of the world speak to this truth. From the Bible's reminder in 1 Peter 1:7 that faith is tested like gold in fire to the writings of Rumi, who declared, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." We see that the chosen are not spared hardship, but are instead transfigured through it. What makes this interior work so sacred is its paradoxical nature. Strength without tenderness becomes tyranny. Tenderness without strength becomes fragility. Faith without grace becomes pride. But when the chosen one endures the divine shaping, all these forces blend into a harmony that is rare in this world. They become people who can carry burdens without bitterness, lead without arrogance, and love without fear. Their quiet resilience confuses those who cannot understand how one can bend without breaking, how one can stand firm without becoming rigid. It is, in essence, the hidden genius of the soul touched by the divine. The world often overlooks this process because it prefers the loud and the flashy. In an age of instant gratification, people want miracles without waiting, blessings without growth, and crowns without crosses. But chosen ones are marked by their willingness to undergo the hidden season. They accept the silence because they know that roots grow deeper in the dark soil long before branches ever stretch toward the light. Like a seed that surrenders to burial before blooming, they trust that what feels like obscurity is simply the foundation of destiny. This makes them different, and sometimes even misunderstood, because their timelines do not match the frantic pace of society. But this very difference is the evidence of their calling. And when the chosen emerge, they carry something the world cannot counterfeit. Their presence alone can shift an atmosphere because it has been purified in places unseen. They walk into rooms with a calm strength that unsettles pretenders and comforts the brokenhearted. Their words may be few, but they are weighty, carrying echoes of wisdom born from fire-tested nights and grace-soaked mornings. They become living testaments of divine craftsmanship, reminders that God is not hurried and that beauty takes time. The sacred alchemy within them turns ordinary existence into extraordinary influence, and though the world may not always recognize it, heaven celebrates it. So if you feel unseen in your journey, remember, unseen does not mean unfinished. The invisible brushstrokes of the divine are painting resilience, humility, and power into your soul. Chosen one, the world may not yet understand the art being wrought in your heart, but when the time comes, that masterpiece will not only speak, it will sing. And those who once overlooked you will marvel at what was quietly, patiently, divinely created all along. Point 4. Rested by divine assurance. You are granted rest, not because you earned it, but because your passing has been affirmed in the stillness. Breathe into that rest. Let go of the need to prove. God's affirming gaze is already upon you. Chosen one. This idea of rest is not about laziness or escape. It's not the shallow kind of rest the world talks about when they say, just take a break. No, this is holy rest. This is the deep, soul-level pause that comes when you realize you don't have to keep striving to prove your worth, because your Creator has already called you worthy. Science itself tells us that the human body cannot function without true rest. The brain cleanses itself while you sleep, flushing out toxins and resetting your memory. Even nature shows us the same truth. The soil lies fallow for a season so it can be renewed and bear fruit again. Every rhythm in creation testifies to this one truth. You're not designed to live in constant proving. But the world around you whispers otherwise. It shouts, do more, hustle harder, never stop. And because of that, so many people live with an invisible chain around their necks, enslaved to performance and comparison. Chosen ones, you've probably felt it. The weight of expectations pressing on your spirit. The endless proving ground where it seems like someone is always watching, always waiting for you to fail. But here's where your calling is different. When you step into God's gaze, you realize the test is already passed, not because of your perfection, but because of divine affirmation. That's why this kind of rest is so radical. It breaks the cycle of striving and plants you firmly in grace. Think about the image of still water. Psalm 23 reminds us, He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. There's a reason God didn't say raging waters or rushing rapids. Still waters mirror the heavens. They reflect light without distortion. And in the same way, when your soul rests, it becomes a mirror of divine presence, reflecting peace and clarity. That's why chosen souls are often misunderstood. People mistake your stillness for weakness, when in reality it's a sign of power. Resting in God's gaze doesn't make you passive, it makes you unshakable. Historically, some of the greatest leaders and prophets understood this. Even Jesus himself withdrew to solitary places to pray and rest, showing us that strength doesn't come from endless motion, but from sacred pause. Ancient cultures also honored this rhythm. The Israelites had the Sabbath, not as a legalistic burden, but as a reminder that they were not slaves anymore. The day of rest declared their freedom. Imagine that. Rest itself as rebellion against bondage. When you embrace rest today, you're doing the same thing. You're telling the world, I am no longer a slave to proving myself. Chosen one, there's something beautiful about being seen by God without performing. It's like a child being watched over by a parent who smiles simply because the child exists. You don't have to juggle, dance, or achieve to hold that gaze. It's already yours. And here's the deeper mystery. The more you breathe into that rest, the more powerful your spirit becomes. Energy conserved is energy magnified. Clarity sharpened in stillness is clarity that can move mountains when the time comes to act. So today, release that tight grip. Drop the mask. Take in that deep breath and let it remind you that you're already affirmed. Chosen one, your life is not a performance, it is a presence, and your presence is enough. Rest is not the absence of purpose, it is the preparation for it. God's eyes are on you, and that gaze says it all. You are mine, and you are enough. Point 5. From silence, a sacred knowing rises. In silence, a knowing stirs, a soft, unwavering reminder. You're not alone. You've been carried. Let this knowing brace you, like slow dawn making way for light, unbroken and steady. What most people don't realize is that silence is not emptiness. It's a hidden language, a spiritual current that runs deeper than words. For the chosen one, silence is never just quiet. It is communication. Ancient traditions, from the early Christian mystics to Buddhist monks, all understood this truth. In stillness, the soul tunes itself to a frequency that human ears cannot hear, but the heart immediately recognizes. Science even confirms that silence changes us. Studies show that just 2 hours of silence a day can stimulate brain growth, enhance memory, and lower stress. But for the chosen one, the benefit runs far deeper than health. It becomes a sacred bridge between the seen and the unseen. There's a reason why chosen ones are often misunderstood as distant or aloof. It's not that they dislike company, it's that they are listening to a higher conversation unfolding beneath the noise of ordinary life. The world thrives on distraction, notifications and noise, but the chosen one has learned that in silence guidance comes, not in thunder, but in whispers. Consider how many spiritual leaders in history withdrew into solitude before stepping into their purpose. Moses on Mount Sinai, Jesus in the wilderness, and Muhammad in the cave of Hira. Their silence wasn't isolation, it was preparation. They emerged not weaker, but stronger, carrying wisdom that reshaped humanity. This same truth applies to chosen ones today. Silence is not absence, it is incubation. The experience of being carried, of knowing unseen hands have guided you, is both humbling and empowering. Think about it. How many times have you stumbled, only to find that somehow, what should have broken you ended up shaping you? This is not coincidence, it's orchestration. Chosen ones often feel like survivors of battles no one else even noticed. That's because their journey is not random. The storms you've weathered, the betrayals you've endured, the nights where you wondered if the dawn would ever come. These moments were not meant to crush you, but to carve you into who you are. Just as pressure turns coal into diamonds, so do silence and suffering refine the chosen one into clarity and strength. What makes this truth even more remarkable is that science again gives us a mirror of this spiritual law. In the natural world, seeds require darkness and silence underground before they can break through the soil into light. Human beings are no different. The chosen one's quiet seasons are not wasted time, they are the germination period of destiny. While others rush through noise and activity, the chosen one learns to wait, to listen and to trust that what is carried in silence will one day burst forth into brilliance. And here's the captivating part. This knowing that you are not alone, that you have been carried, is what allows chosen ones to walk with a calmness that unsettles others. People may not understand how you survived what should have destroyed you, how you smile when you've known heartbreak, or how you continue to believe when the world insists you should be cynical. It is because in silence you have learned a secret. The universe conspires for you, not against you. As the Persian poet Rumi once wrote, "Try to accept the changing seasons of your heart, even if they seem unbearable, for they may be preparing you for new joy." So when the silence comes, embrace it. Don't fight it, don't fill it, and don't fear it. Chosen one, it is in that very silence that your strength is renewed, your vision sharpened, and your path illuminated. The dawn is slow, yes, but it never fails. And just like the light, you too will rise, steady, unbreaking, and carried. Point 6. Your story quietly whispered into eternity. Not all stories worth remembering come with lightning and ovations. Many of the greatest tales are woven in the quiet folds of everyday life, where patience, faith, and compassion speak louder than any trumpet. The chosen ones are not always generals who march across maps or orators who move crowds to tears. More often, they are the ones who rise unseen, who forgive when anger seems justified, and who hold to principle when compromise would be the easier road. Their strength does not shout, but it endures, and it transforms the world in ways that history books rarely capture. When we glance back through time, it is easy to be dazzled by kings, empires, and monumental achievements. Yet if we look closer, civilizations were upheld not only by rulers but also by the unnoticed faithful, the mothers who nurtured with wisdom, the fathers who labored with dignity, the healers who tended wounds without expecting recognition, and the teachers who sowed seeds of thought that blossomed decades later. Consider the contributions of unsung heroes like Henrietta Lacks, whose cells, taken without her consent in the 1950s, became the foundation for countless medical breakthroughs, including vaccines and cancer research. Her story reminds us that impact is not always recognized in the moment, yet its ripple effects can shape generations. These uncelebrated lives shape the moral, intellectual, and spiritual framework of societies, echoing not through marble statues but through human character itself. Their legacy proves that eternity often grows in silence, hidden in the influence of one life quietly devoted to good. Science itself mirrors this truth. In physics, the concept of the butterfly effect in chaos theory illustrates how small actions can produce massive consequences. A butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil could, theoretically, influence a tornado in Texas. While poetic, this principle translates remarkably well into human interaction. Sociologists often borrow this metaphor to describe the chain reactions of kindness. One gentle decision, one act of mercy, and one refusal to perpetuate harm can ripple outward and affect countless lives. In psychology, research has shown that small acts of compassion can trigger a cascade of pro-social behavior in communities. Even a single moment of integrity or empathy can inspire others to act in kind, creating a web of influence that extends far beyond the initial act. Spirituality echoes this principle. Even the faintest prayer, the smallest sacrifice, or the quietest obedience is seen, valued, and recorded by the Creator. For the chosen one, this paradox is a secret power. You need not raise your voice to make heaven listen. Consider the profound effects of ordinary acts that change the trajectory of lives. A teacher's patience with a struggling student may ignite a lifelong passion for learning. Rosa Parks's refusal to give up her seat was, at one moment, a simple act of defiance. But it became a spark for the civil rights movement, transforming the landscape of a nation. In families, parents who model integrity and compassion cultivate generations who carry these values into the world. Even on the smallest scale, one moment of restraint in anger can end cycles of conflict before they escalate. One word of encouragement, quietly offered, may be the thread that prevents someone from unraveling. Choosing forgiveness instead of vengeance may not trend on social media, but it is a quiet revolution in a culture addicted to conflict and spectacle. History provides countless examples of quiet yet transformative greatness. Mother Teresa, for instance, did not conquer nations or amass wealth. She knelt beside the forgotten, washed their wounds, and loved those society ignored. The civil rights leader Bayard Rustin worked behind the scenes, organizing and strategizing while others occupied the limelight, proving that unseen faithfulness can achieve monumental outcomes. Even in science, individuals like Nikola Tesla often labored in relative obscurity, their ideas laying the foundation for technology that now powers the modern world. Greatness, therefore, is not measured by applause, medals, or trending headlines. It is measured by endurance, integrity, and the unseen impact one life has on others. This is what it truly means to be chosen. You are not asked to mimic the clamor of the crowd or seek attention in a noisy world. You are called to embody truth, act with justice, and extend mercy, even when no one applauds. Your silent acts of kindness, your quiet discipline, and your steadfast faith in the face of adversity are not wasted. They are seeds of eternity. While your story may never be captured in textbooks or viral videos, it is etched into the fabric of existence itself, leaving marks on hearts, societies, and even generations yet to come. The quiet, unshakable authority of the chosen one lies not in spectacle but in substance. Living unseen yet shaping the world around you requires patience, resilience, and humility. It requires a refusal to be swayed by temporary recognition or superficial validation. The chosen ones understand that their influence is measured not by who knows their name, but by the positive changes their presence and actions inspire. They know that the ripple of one thoughtful word, one compassionate gesture, or one principled stand can extend far beyond what the eye can see. They embrace the paradox that the most profound impact is often invisible, yet undeniably real. Ultimately, the chosen ones teach us a profound lesson, that true power is quiet, endurance is heroic, and compassion is transformative. They remind us that the world's deepest changes rarely come from the loudest voices, but from those who live with purpose, love without expectation, and act with unwavering faith. When we honor these quiet stories, we recognize the immense, often invisible contributions that sustain humanity. These lives, lived with integrity and devotion, shape the world more than empires, headlines, or fleeting fame ever could. In the end, being chosen is less about being seen and more about shaping reality itself, silently but indelibly, leaving a legacy that transcends time. Point 7. The gentle invitation to tell yourself. This video is your invitation to tell yourself, I am chosen, I have passed, and now I will rest in the truth of who I am. Speak it quietly. Let it settle like soft rain inside your heart, soaking into the deepest corners of your spirit. Being a chosen one is rarely about visibility or recognition. It is about the responsibility that comes with being set apart. History shows us that those who are destined for greatness or divine purpose often walk paths of solitude long before the world sees their light. Prophets, visionaries, inventors, and great leaders frequently experienced doubt, rejection, and misunderstanding before their contributions were acknowledged. Moses wandered the desert for 40 years before leading a nation. Galileo endured ridicule for truths that would change science forever. The cost of being chosen is often quiet, unseen, and misunderstood, a test of endurance that few are prepared to bear. What makes this calling extraordinary is that it transforms the way you see yourself. In a world obsessed with validation, likes, applause, promotions, or social recognition, your value has never depended on external approval. Instead, your growth has come from trials, from quiet nights wrestling with doubt, and from storms that shook you to your core. Science demonstrates the power of pressure. Carbon, under immense weight, becomes diamond. Spiritually, the pressure you have endured has molded you into someone resilient, disciplined, and luminous, even if the transformation has been invisible to others. Every challenge, every hardship, every moment of isolation has been a refining fire, shaping the strength of your character and the clarity of your purpose. There is a profound duality in being chosen, a tension that is both heavy and liberating. It is heavy because you often feel like an outsider, observing the ordinary lives of others while navigating a path that only you can see. You may have felt misunderstood, underestimated, or overlooked. Yet there is liberation in this solitude because you carry a quiet certainty. Your life is not random, your existence is not incidental, and your efforts are not wasted. You are entrusted with insights, compassion, and a mission that has the power to influence generations, often in ways you cannot yet comprehend. The scriptures say, "Many are called, but few are chosen." Being chosen is never about superiority. It is about responsibility, about being a vessel for a purpose far greater than self-interest. When you breathe those words into your spirit, I am chosen, I have passed, know that this is more than affirmation. It is recognition of an undeniable truth. You have endured what others could not, grown when no one was watching, and remained steadfast through trials that might have broken someone else. Now, it is your moment to rest, not in complacency, but in profound peace. You no longer need to earn worthiness. You already are worthy. The very fact that you have persisted, that you have learned to rise despite obstacles, proves it. The path ahead may still hold challenges, but it will not defeat you. You are chosen, and this means your story is not ordinary. It is extraordinary, unfolding with precision, guided by forces that see beyond what the eyes can perceive. Beloved one, recognize the quiet triumph within your spirit. It has been there all along, like an ember awaiting the wind to ignite it. Today, feel it, embrace it, and let it infuse every step you take. You have passed unseen tests of faith. You have endured silent battles, and your heart now rests cradled in divine assurance. Let this truth become your steady breath. I am chosen. I am held. In that sacred whisper, let rest carry you forward, gently with confidence, into the fullness of your peace. Let this be a reminder that being chosen is not a burden to bear alone, but a sacred calling to live intentionally, with courage, clarity, and the deep joy that comes from knowing you are exactly where you are meant to be.